Welcome back, everyone. Today's episode, as we landscape the college recruiting classes, we've got Coach Will Grant here from Santa Clara. Will, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you, Wes, for having me. Appreciate it. It's a true honor to be here, man.
Yeah, dude. It's been great to communicate with you. Appreciate all you're doing over there at Santa Clara. I know that you guys are on the up and up, and you guys are, continuing to recruit at a very high level. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about your incoming recruiting class, as well as kind of your outlook, your preview on the season. We'll be joined later in the show by one of your recruits, which we're very excited about. So why don't we dive in here? I've got your incoming recruits all set up and ready to go. Some exciting names on here and a lot of talent. Like, it's good, Santa Clara, the Jesuits are on the rise. There's a lot of talent coming in. Why don't you walk us through here and your thoughts on some of these guys, if not all of them?
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it, Wes. And I'll try to touch on all of them very briefly and just kind of give some background, but in no particular order. So we'll just go alphabetical. Ashton Brown's going to be a center coming in who just competed at the U20 World Championships, which obviously you were a big part of. And just a quick kudos to you for everything you did. The whole service was awesome. So he was kind of, you got to see him in person. He's a very versatile, dynamic center for his size, great hands, really active on the post string, man up situations. And I think really comes in with a drive and work ethic that we are really trying to kind of build around as a culture, which you'll hear me talk a lot about in this recruiting class. And so he's got dreams of representing the, Oz team at the Olympic level, and he's going to come in and be an immediate impact player for us. Awesome. Kind of just going down the line. Next would be Jamie DeSwart, who's 6'7" right-handed attacker from the Houston area of Texas. Obviously, you just hear that right away. 6'7", attacker. He's freakish athlete, tremendous upside, great shooting. He's been a part of the academy and ODP system a while as well. And he's just, kind of a huge potential for us and someone that we think can come and do some special things too. Next would be Beck, who is going to be from J-Stara, and he's currently competing with the Beastie Boys. Just won super finals the other day. Beck's going to be a guy that's kind of come in, like I talked about, who's setting the standard, as we like to say, and brings a hard work nose ethic with him, kind of knows what it takes to build something special, has that championship caliber, and is a guy that's going to come in and really help us develop this core culture that we've kind of started to establish recently. And kind of in that same suit as Dylan Hazen. So Dylan's a lefty from modern day, but very, very similar style, build, mindset, the way he approaches the game. He's very eager to learn and always kind of wanting to find ways to get better. He does have some experience with the Canadian national team, kind of being in their pipeline, kind of competing with them a little bit over the past few months. So he's always kind of striving to, push himself to that next limit. And the last couple here, just to kind of go back to back, Rylan Pierce is going to be the goalie, and you can kind of see him in the top right here. And I'll kind of pair him with the next guy, Misha Popov. Both guys are, high school teammates, club teammates from College Park and CCU. And they both bring a lot of different positives. But I think the main thing here is, again, they come from a unique program. And as you've seen CCU in the past 4 or 5 years, it's a local school that we've been able to get a lot of guys from. But more importantly, they have a certain kind of style and a certain way that they approach the game. They take it not only very seriously, but they're very much working on their craft constantly. Look at guys like Ben Four, Soren Jensen, Marcus Longton. These are guys that we've kind of seen and respect. And, Misha and Rylan have been around these guys for a long time and kind of know what it's all about. So we're really excited about the two of them. And I'll skip over Imme because I know we're going to talk about him later, and I'll let him share some more about himself. But last would be Hank. And Hank is someone we're really excited about as well. 2 out-of-state kids with Jamie from Texas and Hank as well from Chicago. But Hank plays with the SoCal club team. So, again, you kind of see his passion and dedication for the sport. He's been with the Futures USA team as well, going to Serbia last year. And he's very versatile in and out of the pool. There's a lot of different things. Well, kind of someone that we're kind of seeing as he'll grow and develop where we'll place him. But ultimately someone that, again, culturally is coming in, hard-nosed, wants to be better, and eventually is going to help this program take that next step, we hope.
So you're seeing Misha and Hank, both from Illinois, but both playing Hank at SoCal and Misha at CCU, coming from Illinois and now playing in California. Is that a trend you're starting to see with athletes that you're recruiting?
Yeah, a little bit. Just to confirm, Misha's actually high school teammates with Rylan Pierce. So Misha
got it at Pleasant Hill. My mistake. Yes. Then.
No, not a problem. But Hank and Jamie are the 2 out-of-staters, and we have lots of out-of-staters on our team. So to your point, it's definitely a trend we've seen.
Yeah.
To be totally candid with you, I'm an alumni of Santa Clara, and I came from Pennsylvania. So it's definitely something that is close to me as well.
Yeah.
Luke Barrett is a guy who was a first team or an honorable mention all WCC this year from Virginia. We've got
Yeah.
guys in the past who've been all Americans from Chicago, and a lot of these guys are starting to come to California. So it's kind of making the recruiting side a lot easier because it's just less travel for us coaches. And if these kids want to make that next step, a lot of clubs are starting to be open to, hey, come and train with us for the summer, not just for 2 weeks, but come out June and July and see what this whole experience is about. So we're definitely noticing that a little bit more.
That's awesome. And obviously, you've got a few internationals here. I don't really remember Santa Clara having a lot of internationals, and you've really brought that change. Talk to us about your approach. You're obviously a graduate of Santa Clara, as you mentioned, which I think helps because a little more pride, right? There's it's a little more passionate than it is business like, but you've really changed the culture here and leveled up. I mean, this last year was probably the best Santa Clara team we've seen in some time, and with this recruiting class, some of the length and some of these players that I've seen firsthand, I know you're not getting these are level up guys. Not to say anything bad about previous Santa Clara
Sure.
classes, but you're obviously going international, which seems to be a trend here. Talk to us about the philosophy and the culture that you're trying to set with kind of these types of recruiting classes and these players.
Yeah, I mean, Santa Clara Warple is totally different than it was when I was a player, and only the best ways. Meaning that it's kind of like grown up and shaped up and been a little bit more serious. And what I mean by that is my experience was totally special. To your point, it means a lot to be an alumni of the program, and now to be
Sure.
back, there's that emotional connection that will always be there. But there's been a huge amount of support from our athletic department, where now we do have the ability to have scholarships and go after some of the international guys, but as well as some of these other Americans as well. I think for us, what we're really just trying to do is put our best kind of roster out there based off of what we have leaving and what we hope to bring in. And what we found with the internationals is they really value the Santa Clara degree. And I think that sometimes that's the narrative that's the hardest to sell for us. We
Mm-hmm.
really do well locally. Again, Santa Clara has that name within Silicon Valley, within the Bay Area, within Northern California. People know it and respect it. They understand what it can set you up for in terms of success. And we're starting to get a little bit more reach out there, especially in Orange County. We've had some pipelines in San Diego for a long time as well. But for the most part, these internationals are really open and they really want to learn. And we kind of do a good job of setting a really like open dialogue about the whole process, what it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
like, what their experience is. Try to get them to talk to some players on the team that can kind of share some insight. Eventually even try to bring some guys out for official visits, which other programs have been doing for a while, and we're just trying to kind of dip our toes in. So we're
Yeah.
excited. It's a lot of watching polo online. Again, shout out to you and like the stuff that you're doing. Like it's changing and it's becoming easier. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people talk about COVID as a negative. I always say it was probably one of the best things that happened in the sport in terms of streaming. Like it made people want to see the sport on a screen versus in person. And yeah, again, financially, it's a lot easier for me to be here and just wake up a few hours earlier and watch some really high level Hungarian, juniors team or junior game versus, having to fly all the way to Hungary for a week and have to go do that. And if we
Sure.
need to get to that point, maybe we can, but at least the initial outreach is just watching these guys, getting the reps in, seeing who they're playing, making connections to these programs, these clubs that are well represented and well spoken for internationally, and kind of doing your due diligence and your homework. But to your point, it's taken time. We're very excited. I think it's again a lot of culture and the youth and this like kind of like development that we're trying to bring, rising to the top. And it's only going to help us over the next few years.
Last question about this, and we'll go into your season kind of preview.
Mm-hmm.
What's the culture? What's your vision, Will? Like, you're obviously very passionate about this, and it makes my job really easy because I just get to sit here and just bask in this great energy that you bring to this. And I'm sure the players feel that too at Santa Clara. What's your vision?
I mean, it's like I've said, it's coupling what we've done in the past really well while building this kind of changing landscape, which is we have to continue to recruit locally well. We have to get, the Henry and Charlie Angses of the world, which are two guys from Miramani and kind of local guys that saw value and were immediate impact players. And with a lot of the guys on the screen, you see what it is. It's like, okay, we're a program that's trying to move up. And, you've
Yep.
already talked about it. We're talking about our schedule next. Well, let's look at this from a big picture, and something that Coach Wilbur, who's obviously the lead of this program, and I talk about a lot is we want to challenge ourselves and we want to make sure that we're making steps to the next level. So what we really look at is this is a 2 or 3 year plan. We could be in theory hosting WCCs in fall of 2027. If you work your way backwards, you're kind of like, okay, what are the pieces looking like to build up for that? And
Yeah.
the way we kind of structure it is like we want to make sure that we're pushing these guys, but also that they can see the growth. So this next season, we're really challenging ourselves. I mean, we've got 11 home games, which is really exciting. And I know we're going to talk about some, but we've got Santa Barbara at home, Long Beach at home, Stanford at home. We're going to the MPSF tournament, going to Princeton Invite with Pro Recco and Ferencvaros going to be there. Like, we're going to play Princeton Fordham there. We're going to play Harvard and Brown at our tournament. Like, and this is part of a process because we have to take that step up. And the best way to do that is to play those teams that are there and showcase these new talent that we have and let them learn, let them play our style of game and give them the time they need to develop. Because it's not going to happen overnight. Even though a lot of these guys on the screen will have immediate impact, it's going to take time for everything to be instilled. So our vision is give it the time. Don't rush it. Enjoy the process is the classic line, right? But it's true. Like, just take the little victories on a day-to-day basis and see the growth as you go.
I love it. So eye on the future, eye on potentially 2027 being a host for WCC championships, which would be great. I can't remember the last time you hosted. I was there. I feel like I was there the last time you hosted. It was a while ago.
It was actually my redshirt senior year, 2016. So it's funny.
Yeah, that sounds right. I was going to say about 10 years ago. So we're not far off there. So awesome. That's great. So let's talk now about kind of the season preview, if you will. We got a couple of key matchups. Obviously, you've got some great home games. Good to hear you're heading out to the Princeton Invite. You get to watch Ferencvaros and Pro Recco. You've got Pacific at Santa Clara on the 5th of October. These are all in October. So what I've learned, just a little bit here, what I've learned is September is kind of this trial and error time. Sometimes teams play games. Sometimes they don't play a lot of games. October is really the meat of the schedule where you're playing as many non-conference games as you really can. Then November becomes the end, and it's like you've got all your conference stuff.
Right.
And so October is like kind of where the separation occurs. So I picked a few games in October I thought would be really good. Obviously, Pacific is a good team always. This is more or less a down year, I would say, for them. I don't think they'll be down because their recruiting class looks very good. I don't think James Graham's allows for a down year, but less good than like last year, losing the players that they've lost. Mm-hmm. So this is, to me, a measuring stick for you. Talk to me about how you look at Pacific, and then we'll move to Long Beach and obviously LMU.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, they were the regular season champs last year. They were the number one seed in the WCC. And, I understand that, to your point, James sometimes can look at his roster, again, in a big picture stuff where he looks at it, again, talking about we're trying to learn from other guys. James will look at it in the big picture. So we have a lot of respect for them. I mean, we played them 2 years ago when they were, quote unquote, having a down here as well. And we ended up, fortunately beating them in overtime at home. It was a tough game. And to your point, they've got some really, really talented opponents coming in. We like the rivalry with UOP. I mean, they're a true WCC team, not being an affiliate. So it's kind of like you get points towards the Commissioner's Cup and other things that kind of mean a lot to your athletic department. And for us being at home, like, we want to have a really great home environment to kind of give us that edge. Again, something they do really well. And hopefully we can kind of flip the narrative on them and kind of, get a big crowd and a good environment. I believe that game is on a Sunday morning or so, if I'm not mistaken. So long story short, we really want to kind of like be prepared for these conference games, to your point, starting early October.
Yeah, it is a Sunday morning game, and so that'll be kind of exciting. We'll talk, just a little tangent here. You talk about the environment, and I love this. I love the fact that James Graham is like, he does everything. Okay, I'm a big admirer of James Graham, if you can't tell, right? So he gets like on average 750 people per game.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Are you guys doing anything we can kind of expect? Any reason for people to come to a Santa Clara game this season?
Yeah, we're trying to do a lot more engagement with the fans. I mean, we don't have anything special rolled out or any big plans here, but we're trying to do a little bit more engagement with the players. I mean, obviously we have posters that you can come and get signed up, and other sports in Santa Clara will have the athletes stay behind and kind of sign off, and some, autographs and things like that. We have a lot of alumni engagement, to be honest with you. So it's like maybe not as much fans, but it's, again, bringing back that community. So when we sit down at the schedule, like, we truly look at weekends that maybe, a dad with a family of 3 could still come down and cheer on, his old team. And I think that's what we're really trying to instill, is that as we move forward, we want to kind of be bringing everyone with us. So we are trying to grow and create a better environment. I'm sure we'll talk about the Julian Fraser tournament a little bit too. So, like, we're trying to do other things to promote water polo on Santa Clara's campus. But it is going to still take some time, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's better, never best. You're building something great here. We can tell it's obvious as the recruiting classes and the mentality changes at Santa Clara in the pool. Next up, Long Beach State University. Long Beach loaded this year. Pacific, I feel like, not where Long Beach is. This is a step up. This is a real measuring stick, I think, for you guys with your freshmen. Long Beach is a little more veteran. They've got a couple of older guys, and arguably two. I think the second best center combo in the United States behind UCLA. Right. You got Seichi, you got Lathy, and you got Castillo at UCLA. Nobody's really touching that just yet.
Right.
USC will get close, but they're good. They're young. They're going to be young with Kirstich. You've got Long Beach with Gabby Acosta and Corbin Stanley. Corbin Stanley, who had an outstanding U20 World Championships. Gabby Acosta, who was actually at the U20 World Championships but has been injured. He'll be back as the rumor. This is a really important game, I feel, for Santa Clara to say, hey, here's where we're at. Because Long Beach could very well be a top 5 team this year, top 6 team.
100% agree with you. I think Long Beach is a real contender this year. I think, to your point, they have a really good blend of, not only the transfer portal, but kind of like upperclassmen that they've been able to maintain and kind of keep on their roster. But some of their freshmen coming in. I mean, we talked to a few of these guys in the recruitment process as well, are some phenomenal players. And that actually is an environment that we're really excited for. That is on Grand Reunion Weekend at Santa Clara. So every 5, 10, 15, all the way to 50 years, everyone's on campus. And again, when we were reached out to, we were ecstatic to be able to host them, to be able to have a high-level game on campus. We think that we're going to be able to give them a great opportunity to kind of, again, showcase what we can do and push ourselves to their next level. But to your point, that is a program that is probably competing for a national championship come end of November, early December.
Right. They're coming off an NC2A berth. They won the Big West last year, knocking down an undefeated in conference UCI team, which was pretty amazing. Gavin Arroyo's a great coach, man. He is. He gets his team to kind of perform at the end of the season. He just does. So that'll be a good matchup for you. I think a good measuring stick. And then you've got LMU, your Jesuit rivals within WCC. I love the Jesuits, man. We go back and forth here, but the Fordhams, the LMUs, the Santa Claras they never been the focus of water polo.
Sure.
We're starting to see a rise. Now, LMU will have David Carrasco in his first year as a head coach. He's trying to change the culture as well. Echoes a lot of what you've said. We'll have him on the show here in a few days. Love to hear about this matchup for you. Is this something you guys star at the beginning of every year? It's a little bit of a rivalry here.
Totally. Definitely a big rivalry. I mean, I already talked about the WCC rivalry, but as you mentioned, LMU, going back to my playing days, there's definitely a rivalry there. And I don't know if it's just the similarities between the school, a little bit of that NorCal, SoCal kind of comes into there a little bit. Recruits are always kind of picking. There's a lot of similarities between us, just to kind of say that out loud. But yeah, it's definitely a game we have circled. It does also start, as I mentioned, the Julian Fraser Memorial Tournament, which is kind of fun to have a West Coast Conference game. This is the first time we've ever had a conference game to kick off the tournament. Sometimes we played Cal Baptist the day before, but this is actually the Friday of the tournament. We're playing LMU, and then they are staying and participating in the tournament, which is really cool as well. To your point, they're going to be a very unique team as well. I mean, I know they dealt with a lot of injuries last year, so the LMU team that you saw is not going to be the same team to expect come this fall. And the pieces they're bringing in, I mean, even someone like Alika, who is just playing for Channel Cats in the National League and is now using his last year of eligibility. So we're kind of interested to see how they put together these pieces, but they're going to be really talented, really strong. David was a phenomenal player, someone that we really keyed it on when he was, a player for LMU. And now that he's a coach, we really respect his vision of the game, the way that he coaches the boys. And we're definitely going to make sure that we're ready, because that's going to be a tough matchup for us. Definitely.
It will. And another kind of hey, pressure test where you're at, right? It's early. It's still early. That's not quite conference championships, the WCC conference championships, but it is a good conference matchup to kind of see as you go into the last month of the season before your championship weekend. So that's awesome. So now this leads us perfectly into the Julian Fraser Memorial, almost like we planned this, Will. Yes. This is a great tournament. I'd love for you to talk about this, promote this. We'd love to have you on later in the season to talk about it a little bit more, because it is going to be that end of October. And so maybe we can find a week for that. But talk to us about the teams. The rumor is, Stanford is going to be there. Well, we know because the schedules are out, but Stanford will be there. Obviously, Fordham will be there. San Jose State is somewhat co-hosting because it's grown so much. Right. Talk to us about what that is all about. And just, I know you guys are really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just start with the why, obviously, and apologies, my voice is already a little gone, but I have had a long weekend, so if I tear up, I apologize. But the Julian Fraser Memorial is named after someone that's very close to the program, and honestly, someone that's very close to me. Julian was a teammate of mine who passed away from cancer at 20 years of age in 2018, 2017, honestly, kind of towards this point. But he was a really special player to the program. Again, originally from the East Coast, from that Greenwich area. Came out, had 2 older brothers, one that played at Hopkins, and he was someone that had an immediate impact in the program. Someone that, was wiser around his age. He kind of felt a connection with a lot of different people right away. And, tragically life kind of happens. And unfortunately we lost him. And one of the coolest things that I feel like Coach Wilbur Keith, my boss, has ever done was, it used to be called the rodeo. It used to be called the rodeo tournament or something like that when I was a player. They changed it to the name, the Julian Frazier Memorial. And the whole reason was to embody the belief that Julian will continue to stay with the program forever, like making this tournament kind of like East meets West. So before this even happened, there was a lot of Ivy League schools that would come out because Coach Wilbur's a Princeton grad, so he knows that their fall schedule kind of lines up perfectly. Actually, when we formed the WCC, when it kind of got pronounced, we really kind of like fought to be like, hey, look, when we do our conference schedule, can we leave this week open? Because there's a big tournament that we have in honor of this kid. The WCC was great about it. So they've kind of incorporated it into the conference schedule a little bit as well. And ultimately, it's just something that has, to your point, grown. And we've really kind of leaned on these East Coast teams. Obviously, the growth of Fordham and their kind of dominance has really asserted themselves that other teams have come and been interested in. 2 years ago, we had Princeton versus Stanford, which is a great game. Princeton actually ended up upsetting Stanford, which is kind of like one of the first big times I got talked about in a long time. Last year, we had UOP and Fordham, which was kind of like, as you guys highlighted, kind of like the game of the year at one point with 2 undefeated teams vying for this kind of like at-large bid. And ultimately this year, yes, we have Stanford versus Fordham. I think it's like the noon game on Saturday, kind of like the highlighted game. And the idea with this, again, to promote not only growth of the sport in Northern California, which I feel like it is a little underrepresented compared to Southern California, but also more so at Santa Clara, and like really bringing people on campus to experience what is actually a really cool water polo environment when it's kind of put everything in the right place. And so the Julian Frazier is a really great tournament. Definitely encourage anyone that's around to come by, stop by. Lots of great teams around. It's like a really blend of that kind of 5 through 20. Again, lots of East Coast teams, lots of WCC teams, occasionally a big Western team here or there, but we really try to promote it as our like big time to get people engaged with the school.
You're downplaying this. As great as this sounds, you're downplaying it. It's not a 5 through 20. You're going to have Fordham, who's going to start the season at 3.
Right.
You're going to have Stanford, who probably start the season at 5 or 6. Like you got some names. This is not a slouch tournament by any stretch. Really excited for you guys. That'll be a great weekend, October 25th and 26th. You guys are matched up with Brown and Harvard, so you get a little East Coast play there. Yeah. I know Coach Minnis loves coming out to the West Coast, so good for him on making this back out. And Coach Felix out of Brown. But it's great to have you here, Will. Next up, we're going to have one of your recruits who we just briefly went over, but you're going to get a chance to talk about him in front of him. So we'll see how that goes. Imme Vanderhoff coming up right after this in just a moment. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are now joined by Imme Vanderhoff and Coach Will Grant here. Really excited. We didn't get a chance to talk about Imme in the last segment, but now that he's here, Will, gas this guy up. This is a big time recruit. Imme, I'll preface this. Imme, thank you for being here, but you're with the Dutch senior team currently and are now in Santa Clara. No small pickup for Santa Clara. They've gotten a couple of key recruits here in the last couple of years. Will, how did this come about, man? This is huge for you guys.
Yeah, this is very exciting. I mean, we're obviously stoked to have Imme joining our program. He's going to be one of those, again, immediate impact players. Left-handed utility, so again, someone that kind of fits a really important need in a position that we were kind of graduating from last year. And Imme is one of those cool stories where I think you see the global side of water polo, because Imme's first time over here in the U.S. was for JO's. Last year was CT Premier, so we got to kind of watch him there, and then have been following him throughout his Dutch career. But I think Imme is very driven, very motivated. I think the why for him to come to the U.S. is the balance between sports and school, which I think is super important for these guys. And more importantly, like you said, his level of play and his vision in particular on that right side of the pool is something we're really excited to see, and how he's going to integrate with the guys is something we're already very excited about. So
let's talk about that integration real quick. Obviously, you don't have a Dutch player on your team. You've got Riccardo De Simone, who was a big standout for you from Italy this past year, on that same side. Are you thinking about pairing them together, or are you going to split those two up? Imme's not going. I know Imme's not going the other side. So are you thinking about moving, Riccardo, or are you thinking about just having a monster 4-5 side?
We'll see, honestly. I think Riccardo's flexibility is kind of key. I mean, to your point, Imme's probably going to be situated on that right side, but we have Henry Angs as well, who's a player who played a lot for us last year. And Riccardo kind of grew up playing a lot of different positions throughout his time in Italy. So you'll most likely see Riccardo starting on the left side to start the year. Imme will be kind of working with Henry. Grant Rush is another guy as well.
Yeah.
On that right side we already have established. And I think as well, kind of talking about like this is what it's all about. It's early in the year. We're trying to figure it out, trying to see what we have. So I think right now we're going into it with a very open mindset of what's
Sure.
best for these guys moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're fitting your players into where they're most successful to help, instead of having a system and saying play into my system type of thing. And it's interesting. We see both.
Right.
We see both, right? I've interviewed almost every coach but one in the country, I think, at this, or close to every coach, I should say. Everybody's got a different opinion, a different approach to it. So that's awesome. So Imme, you're coming out, right? Or you're here already, I should say. You're taking sculpture class, which is, I got to tell you, what a soft landing coming into Santa Clara, which Santa Clara is known to be a very, very academic institution. I'm a big fan of the Jesuit education myself. What brought you out here? Obviously, you played JOs a little bit, but this is permanent. This isn't 2 weeks of water polo out here. It's 4 years. It's maybe 5. It may be longer, right? Like, so what brought you out here? What inspired this? You're with the Dutch senior team. You're as good as it's going to get here in terms of playing in your country. It's a big step for you.
It is, yeah. Thank you for the introduction. So basically, this all started around a year ago when I got invited to play JOs with a club team from CT Premier.
Mm-hmm.
And before I went to California, I was not really interested in coming to play in college. But once I got there, I really did enjoy it.
Yeah.
And, well, around that time, that probably flicked a switch, and then I started emailing some schools, and, well, let's say around January, I got in contact with Santa Clara, and that's basically where it all started.
Cool. And Coach Will Grant pursued you, I'm sure, and he's a good, one of the better recruiters in the country. And so talk to us. It's different, right? Like you're looking into the season, and I know you guys haven't started season yet, but look into your crystal ball here and talk to us about what are some of the differences, maybe having played JOs, what that was like compared to the international game and maybe the Dutch National League, if you will. What does that look like for you? What are some of the differences you've noticed just in your limited experience? Because I think everybody's kind of curious, right? A lot of guys come over. It's a very different refereeing style. It's different play style. Anything you've noticed that you're like, okay, this is just substantially different than what I'm used to?
Yeah, there's a lot of differences, honestly. Probably the main thing in the US was everybody could swim. These are all fit guys, So physically, I think the one big difference is the US is very well developed. Fit players, strong players, good shot. While I sometimes feel like Europe is a little bit more tactically centered, the US has some really, really fit players and good shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, probably the second biggest thing I noticed in JOs especially is it's probably a little bit more rigid in the way you play. So let's say in the Netherlands, I'm really allowed to do a lot of things. I try to do a lot of different tricks, and I try to score in a lot of different ways. But especially when watching games in the US, I saw that it's very team play. It's very good team play, and you do it together, And I think that's one beautiful thing I could get better at, which is also one of the reasons I'm going here.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are the two main things to me.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear. I knew we were good swimmers. The team play thing that's also good to hear. It means we're developing maybe more collaborative, more cohesive teams. What are you studying? Talk to me about your academics. What are you going to study? What's your major?
I'm going to study psychology. Well, I don't know where my interest came from, honestly. It's I really think about interactions a lot. I try to read people. I think that's probably the root cause of me being interested in it. But honestly, I'm very interested in the human, how we function and how we think, but also physically how we function. I'm really interested in that. So it might have been as well that I studied like a physiotherapist or something like that.
Sure.
Could be in everything with the human. So that's my main interest. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, Santa Clara is a great psychology program, so I think you're in a very good spot for that. So you've done well to kind of match up what you're interested in with a school that does it extremely well. Now you're joining Santa Clara. Santa Clara is part of a conference here in the United States called the WCC. It is statistically the deepest conference. So you're going to get high level competition every single game. No other conference in the country boasts how deep the WCC is. On paper, it is the toughest conference because there are really no real breaks. There might be one break, but other than that, every game you are going to play in conference is tough. You're with Pepperdine, who's got a lot of internationals. They're returning a lot of production. San Jose State, more internationals than any team in the country, and they're returning a lot of production. They've got some new faces as well that are filling in some spots. Pacific is bringing in an absolutely outstanding class. Talk to us about your approach, what you hope to do in your freshman year in this loaded WCC conference. It is quite challenging, right? You've picked a tough one, right? Like you're walking in. It's not an easy, and you got LMU. LMU to me is maybe scarier than the three aforementioned teams in your conference, right? So like there's 4 teams, Santa Clara's 5. Like this is not going to be a walk in the park for you, Imme. So what's the mentality? What's the approach coming into such a deep, difficult conference that you're joining here?
So I would love to tell you like I'm gonna score 12 goals a game and do it all alone, but
if you were scoring 12 goals a game, I'd say you should probably go get paid to play water polo in another country, like big money, like 150 grand a year, 200 grand a year. But yeah, go on, go on.
I would love to tell you I'm gonna do it alone, but the only thing I think about when you tell me it's gonna be a high level is we need to do it as a team.
Yeah,
and we have great staff. We have a great team with a great mentality.
mm-hmm.
I think that all together could make us a very tough opponent to face. I think that's the most important thing, to stick together.
Mm-hmm.
And then mostly because you asked me what I would do, is I'm not like, I can make the team play better, I believe. I give good passes, I have good overview of the game. When I need to, I keep the ball in my hand. But when I don't, I don't. And this kind of control over the game, I think, can help the team develop over the years, but also immediately have a big impact. And we can be a very tough opponent to face for these teams.
Yeah, for sure. And again, you're coming into a team, again, a good recruiting class here for Santa Clara, some good talent, like some developed guys already. Ricardo De Simone, we mentioned earlier, but he was formerly of the Italian junior team. And so you're coming into a team that's got some pieces. Let me ask you this. As a lefty, would you rather have an assist or a goal? And don't worry that Will's here. Don't Coach Grant's here. Don't worry about that. Let's pretend like he's not here.
I would say a goal, definitely. No.
Yeah. Okay.
This is just lead up to the goal. The goal is what it's about.
Yeah, amazing. Well, look, Imme, we're super excited. You've taken the leap. You're out here in Santa Clara, California. I hope you enjoy the big surprise. You enjoyed water polo in California. The game's meant to be played outside, as Dennis Varga once told me. So we love that you're here. Best of luck on your freshman season. We like to open it up, and at this point, we like to say, hey, anything you want to add, or the studio is yours. If there's any commentary that you've got to kind of talk about this upcoming season.
Well, that's a good question. Honestly, well, to everybody's watching, I just want to tell I'm very excited and looking forward to this. And I can't wait to be. Oh, I'm already here. I can't wait to enjoy California.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you get some time in the off season, but certainly it's heads down in the books and in the pool from here on out. We appreciate you taking the time with your busy schedule. A season coming up. Good luck this year. We'll be sure to catch up with you as much as we can. Coach Grant, thanks for making this happen, and good luck with the rest of your training as you guys lead into season. We'll certainly be watching.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.